Hey everybody, it's the Yuki, and today we celebrate 6 years of RetroYuuki content. It's incredible that we've even made it to 6 years, let alone 10, if we can make it to 10. But today, I want to say thank you and bring you back to where it all started. I'm going to take you on our journey until 2025 to showcase and represent how hard it is to be a YouTuber in this time of day, especially with all the algorithms and all the AI stuff taking over in 2025, it looks like. I want to take you on this journey to say thank you to everybody who's been sticking by us, and I say us like the Yuki fam, ever since September 18, 2019. Yes, we're going that far. So buckle up, get your seatbelt, tighten it, let's go. It all starts September 18, 2019. When I started learning about YouTube. Okay? Yeah, random videos, new guy, new user, Gamers Nation, who are you? That kind of deal. Gamers Nation was one of the first names that I used as a content creator here on YouTube before RetroYuuki ever existed. Then random videos and all that stuff. Hatsune Miku gameplay. That actually went somewhere, but it's not where I thought it was going to go. And I'm like, yeah, let's try something else. I even did some dancing for you guys back in the day when I first started. If you guys remember that, you're a true OG. It was not really until 2020 that this channel started growing. And I'm not just saying that because it was the pandemic. I'm really saying this because it's the year when I saw my first video pop off as it did. So 2020, 2021 were the first 2 years I really started taking YouTube for what it is. Content creation platform. So I stumbled across a bot called Mude. At the time, I was still new to Discord. And this Mude thing, oh, it's anime characters, cool. I like anime. I watch Sword Art Online. That's actually where I got my username from, and I'm going to share a story about that in a moment. Because it's going to become relevant when you learn about the origins of RetroYuuki. So, 2020 I learned about Discord and I learned about Mudebot. I'm like, I'm a YouTuber now. I'm a content creator now. Let me try something. Let me make a video about this bot. Okay, so I go home that night. It was, I believe, a school night or something. I'm like, let me spend some time because I had a break to record a tutorial video about the Mude bot. If you remember this first video, you are a real OG. It was 55 minutes and 35 seconds long. Nobody is going to watch 55 minutes and 39-second long tutorial. Am I right? I'm wrong. Here's why. Because years later, that same video of 55 minutes, 39 seconds long now has over 55,000 views in 6 years. And probably more now if I check the numbers. That 55-minute tutorial, now don't get this twisted because 55 minutes of a tutorial is way too long. But at the time, I'm learning content creation, so it's okay. But that 55-minute tutorial got over about 100 something thousand now, if I check the numbers today. I'm like, wow. I didn't know this could happen back in 2021. I mean 2020, 2021. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I can do this. I did the second tutorial, and that got over 50,000. I did the third one, that over got 20,000, and more. So I kept spawning tutorials on tutorials on tutorials on this Mude bot, which is an anime bot, by the way. At that time, I was still unconfirmed with my name, which is at the time Gamers Nation. Then Angelic Yuki came into play. So where did the origins of RetroYuuki actually come from? Because I mentioned that I said anime was an inspiration. So we have to go back to the anime Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online. It's an anime that I learned about from a friend. And in that particular day, she was dressed as this character from the anime Sword Art Online. The name is Asuna Yuki. Keep in mind there's two Yukis in that show. So I decided to watch it. I'm like, okay, for a few years. Then, so you know the Yuki part, you just do not know the real Yuki part. The second season, I believe it was the when they introduced a character by the name of Zeken. Zeken. If I remember this correctly, if I mistakenly, don't worry. There's a reason why they changed it, I think. So this character in purple is also named Yuki. Same spelling as you see on my shirt there with my model. But this character is also named Yuki. First name is Kono. Konno. So I fell in love with this character. I can't spoil the story because number one, it's spoilers. Number two, it's sad. But if you translate the word Yuki to English, it's courage. What on YouTube requires courage? The courage to experiment as a content creator. That's courage. And I'm going to tell you about that part in a moment. So that's where the Yuki part comes into the name. The retro part comes into play later in 2021 when I started just experimenting retro games on YouTube. Therefore, hence my name, RetroYuuki. If you really translate it, it's like courage retro. I mean, retro courageous. Retro courage. But we'll just keep RetroYuuki for now. Now, let's talk about the next part. Tutorials, that was the first main. The second main was going to be 2021. So 2021 rolls around. Again, on my channel, we're still below 500 subs. At the time, mid 2021, we get to 500 because of Mudebot. But a significant addition was about to happen in 2021 in July. But we have to go back to a little bit before July into June. Actually, excuse me. Oh, it is July. So July 2021, as part of my summer trip, I believe it was Sequoia National Park in California. So we have this tradition where we go to vacation away from school, away from LA, and we go on vacation. Traditional stuff for our family. Duh, it's in the summer. But on this particular vacation in July of 2021, we were in Sequoia National Park. I believe it was Sequoia. And it was a day that we were going to have dinner at this restaurant in a motel. It's not a fancy dinner, though. But what was significant about that day was Twitter. Because on Twitter and YouTube, I saw a video. I believe at the time, I was still too new to this content creation thing still. But I didn't really get into it until 2021 when it really was starting to get into it. So on that year, 2021, on vacation, I saw a video called, I believe it was called Shadina Meets Eclipse. I may be getting this wrong, but it was something around that line. It was the Shadina storyline in Sailor Peace. And it was from Sailor Peace because it's Shadina. But at this time, I didn't know Sailor Peace, Shadina, and Eclipse. I just said, hey, they're human characters. Well, I was right about one thing. Sailor Peace, because she's a content creator, duh. But this Shadina ain't human at all. She's a hedgehog. But you don't see her because it's in first person. Which gets us into the VRChat era. So I'm like, oh, that is cool. Role playing in first person point of view. But remember, at that time, I didn't even know about this VRChat thing until I watched that. So I watched this Shadina video. I'm like, I'm interested. I subscribed to Sailor Peace. Makes sense, right? The same night, I said, hey, on Twitter, I sent out a random post. Hey, is anybody interested in helping me learn VRChat? I'm like, okay, nobody's answering that. Because I am so new on Twitter that nobody's going to even follow me. Yeah, I was wrong literally 30 minutes into dinner. Because we went to the dinner in the motel. And literally that moment when I was about to eat my first bite of food, Bolts the Hedgehog, our buddy today, just said, here you go. I'll help you. I'm like, yep. Time to go home. Literally the next night we went home. Guess what I did the first night back? No, I did not do a live stream of Mario. I did a live stream of VRChat. It was a tutorial, quote unquote tutorial, because I was still getting used to this VR thing. Now remember, I'm on desktop first in 2021. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is something cool. I play beer pong. Okay, in 2021. Yeah, I'm old enough to drink. Don't worry. Anyway, so that was the tutorial night. The next night, Bolts finally introduced himself to me. I believe he was playing as Dr. Eggman or Omega E310 something. E3102, I think. Okay? So I'm like, oh, this is something interesting. And if you remember during that time, I quote unquote accidentally introduced Yuki the Hedgehog. If you guys remember a brown hedgehog on this channel, on the RetroYuuki main channel, back in 2021, where I put him on the bottom right corner, I accidentally introduced Yuki the Hedgehog. But at the time, I was so new to VRChat in particular, that I didn't even know you can make these characters. So by accident, I just gave you what's going to happen in 2025. Even though I didn't even say anything. I just said, oh, Yuki the Hedgehog is going to play VRChat. Or something like that. Back in 2021. It so happens it's going to happen. on Twitch next Saturday. Yuki the Hedgehog. Oh no, this time it's for real. That time in 2021 was by accident because I didn't even know you can actually make characters. So by accident, I predicted the future of next Saturday with Yuki the Hedgehog. Albeit he's way different now. So by complete coincidence, I made a character, but not official in 2021. And then I said, you know what? Let's do more of this. And then 2021 continues. More friends are introduced. Everybody who I did not mention, I forgot. I'm sorry. But I have too many names to mention. Bolt was introduced there, Ruby there, and everybody else. I don't want to spend a lot of time mentioning names. If you were there in 2021, congratulations, you get a shout out. But the biggest shout out happens in September. And I am not joking. But before we talk September, we need to go back to about June or July of 2021 also. This was when I started learning about Satyr. And Satyr is a VRChat user, obviously. She still roleplays today. Look for a video on Queen AG channel, by the way. That's her. That's the recent one. Anyway, so I started looking at more Satyr stuff. Days later, after that Shadina video comes out, another video comes out from Satyr. Terios and Shadina versus Fleetway Supersonic. If you know this video very well, I reacted to this as Francis the Hedgehog. The very first time I did an actual OC. But we'll talk about that era later. But when it comes to the Satyr thing, that was my first roleplay fight video to watch. Okay? So I said to Peace on Twitter, I believe I mentioned, can I start reacting to these videos? And she said, yeah. And I believe she still gives me permission today. I'm just going to do that now on Yuki the Hedgehog channel, but we'll talk about that later. And so that story continues in September. September 28, 2021 was the day that I wouldn't forget. I think it was 28, 21. I know it was one of those two. But guess who shows up in VRChat? Satyr. As Shadina. If you remember that stream, you're an OG. Congratulations. Because that was my first time meeting a YouTuber in the high category where they're established for VRChat. Satyr is one of them. Eclipse, the same Eclipse in that video, I got to meet the same night. September 28 or September 21, 2021 will go down as the first time I met a YouTuber who's in the high range. Two YouTubers in the high range, actually. If you think about it with Eclipse. Okay? In the high range. That was not the first encounter with Satyr. Later in 2021, November and December, we had a two-way team-up lobby. If you guys remember that. It was the most in a VRChat lobby ever, and it's still the record today. 22. I don't think it's going to happen again, though. Not with the current state of VRChat and drama. But 22 is still the record, and I think it's going to be the record forever. As part of my channel. unless we get big. But anyway, that was the record. 2021 ends and 2022 begins. 2022 and 2023 was kind of mid. The only thing that we need to mention about 2022, in August, that's when we started hitting 1,000 subscribers. So that's a major milestone in the form of YouTube. It was August 2022. I remember that for sure. That was my first night of monetization here on the platform. And I'm like, we finally did it. We finally achieved what only 15% of YouTube channels actually achieve. There's a statistic floating around these days. How many channels have been made and how many channels, percentage wise, have made it to 1,000 subscribers? The official monetization thing before they introduced 500. I believe, this is just my estimation, 13% of channels made since 2007, when YouTube was first introduced, make monetization at 1,000 subscribers. 15%. That's not a lot. And we did it in August 2022. It's the moment that I thought I would never reach. We would never reach. Ever. Okay? You hit that subscribe button. You hit the watch hours of 4,000. That's not easy. Now, part of that was the tutorials back in 2020, 2021 with Moody. But part of that is also the new content, the VRChat stuff. And the Mario Maker, which we will talk about in a moment. That was wild how that game started getting popularity. But we'll talk about that in the Mario Maker era in a moment. So August 2022 was when we started monetization. It was when we started hitting 1,000 subs. And we celebrated with a VRChat stream for that day. Now 2022 to 2023 was where it got really interesting. Because at this time, we also started Mario Maker. It is the only game that is wild when it comes to how it does on YouTube and Twitch. To tell you the story of Mario Maker, I need to give you the story of how Mario Maker operates. Because it's going to give you a sense of why Mario Maker is so wild. So Mario Maker operates on where you make levels. And you share levels with the community. It's kind of like a ROM hack, but by Nintendo. Mario Maker in 2022, 2023 was my first introduction to playing levels made by the community that is not made using a ROM hack. So these were legit levels made by the community using a legit game, Mario Maker, where I got to play and communicate with you guys and play. So that's how Mario Maker operates. However, the real reason why it got interesting is where you played it. If you played it on YouTube, you're getting nothing. Well, other than views, but you're getting no interaction in terms of like Mario Maker. But then we played on Twitch. 75 levels I played that year or so because it's viewer level night. My goodness, it's better on Twitch than it is on YouTube. And it just so happens that this Saturday I'm coming back. But we'll talk about that in a bit later on into our future segment. Now, a couple of things happened with this era of like Mario Maker. First, it was my first introduction to Mario Maker. Also in 2022, we have to give a shout out. My first like legit shout out other than votes, and that's Bryce. As in the one who plays Fortnite with us every Friday night, starting tomorrow. And tonight for the 6 year special. That Bryce. Why am I giving him a shout out here in the Mario Maker segment? Because he's one of the first friends to make a level for me. I am not joking when I say he's the first one to make a level for me. Because he is. And of course, it's a Kaizo level because why not? But he's the first one to legit make a level for me and make a level for me based on my name, Yuki. Okay? So he starts making the levels for me and I start playing them. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. Alright? Why is Mario Maker relevant when it comes to my YouTube journey though? Besides Bryce making levels for me. It's because Mario Maker started a very interesting trend in 2022 and that continues today. In 2023, VRChat started taking a dive in viewership, but then Mario Maker started rising. Now, at this time in my content creation journey, we didn't really have an organized schedule. It was not like organized as it is today, where we do Mario on Monday, Mario on Wednesday, Pokemon on Friday, that kind of deal. It wasn't as organized as it is today. Because we still had the wild card pick at the time. And I spin a wheel, and whatever game it lands on, and I play that. But nowadays, it's selected. The only times I have a special is if there is something to celebrate, like tonight, 6 years of YouTube. So, at this time, when it comes to like YouTube journey and Mario Maker, and why it's relevant, because Mario Maker started getting popular in 2022-23, and VRChat started declining in 23. But I didn't stop doing VRChat in 2023. It was more of what I need to do to make it better. All right? We tried some things, but I don't think it was working. Other than role plays and stuff, live streams were starting to get a little bit of a decline, and that's when I tried to introduce the live experience thing, like the new sticker. And last year when the Lakers played in the playoff, or when the Dodgers would play, I would give you the score updates. That was the live experience. I might still continue with it into 2025, especially with the playoffs coming. But we'll see. I don't want to just start like spamming sports scores in a VRChat. I only did that because it was the Dodgers. They're my team. Or the Rams. Or the Lakers. But we'll get into that later. Mario was on the incline. VRChat was on the decline. And that trend continued into 2024. And really, this trend continues 2024 to 2025. Oh, by the way, during this time, we had 1,500 subscribers. Anyway, let's get into the now current era. The 2024 to 2025 streaming year. The end of 2024 didn't look like it was going to be anything. Also at this time, Francis the Hedgehog was made. Kind of. No wonder why we can't have a Francis the Hedgehog channel anymore, because he was never in VRChat. But I digress. Let's talk about that channel, the Francis the Hedgehog channel, reacting to videos. This was at the time when I started making my first OC, Francis the Hedgehog, before Yuuki the Hedgehog really existed. So there was a video I reacted to called Mario and Luigi Vacation Videos. I forgot who it's by, but it got 4,000 views. Now, obviously, not breaking a record by any means because of the tutorial video, but at the time, at least for 2024, that was on pace to be video of the year until December 2024. At this time, ROM hacks were starting to get popular. VRChat streams were starting to get depopular. And I don't think that's a word, but I'm using it anyway. So VRChat started getting depopular, and Mario ROM hacks, in particular the Mario 64 ROM hacks, were starting to get very popular. In fact, on December 25, 2024, or I think it was December 24, 2024, something around that line, I upload a ROM hack gameplay of Retro Slide. I'm like, oh, this is just a slide level. It's only going to get 3,000 views. And Francis the Hedgehog is going to win Video of the Year. Get ready for this, because that didn't even happen. That wasn't even close. The video, the Retro Slide video, got over 30,000 views in 5 days. And it beat Francis the Hedgehog single-handedly by over 26K. And this video is still being viewed today on Yuuki Mario World. That's when I knew Mario ROM hacks are starting to pop in my channels. Now, is it because of this particular ROM hack? If it's a single level? Maybe, maybe not. But as the days go by before the 2026, 2025, that video is still being viewed today and became Video of the Year in 5 days. Think about that. 5 days. Video of the Year. It took out Mario. It didn't take out Mario. It took out Francis the Hedgehog. Seriously. Because he did a Mario video. It got taken down. It didn't take it down, but it was defeated by 27,000 views. I'm like, whoa. But here's the thing about that. At the time, the Mario channel, Yuuki Mario World, only had about 100 something subscribers. That video, the slide video, jumped it to 200 plus subscribers. Today it's at 390. Obviously, we've been taking a break from Mario content for a while because of the Mario Maker returning, the ROM hacks returning for this year. But imagine one video just took it over for 5 days and it's still popping. And now we arrive in 2025, the year where we are. Mario ROM hacks, although recently because of what happens on YouTube, they're still dominant. Okay? Dominant on YouTube. And somehow even beating Fortnite. Now, not really, but it's beating Fortnite no matter what. But we had one stream at 175 total earlier this year. I have my spreadsheet. Okay? It was wild that 1 week of Mario. Over 300 views in that 1 week. Now, keep in mind, I didn't start keeping numbers until literally late last year into this year. Okay? And you might be wondering, I've been talking about Mario this whole time. Whatever happened to VRChat? Well, to start 2025, obviously we had the LA wildfires. So we had to take a little bit of a pause on regular VRChat and do charity streams. They flopped. Then earlier this year, we tried VRChat again. It still couldn't beat Mario. And it could even beat a live tutorial. So we are trying VRChat again in November, albeit next week we are doing a VRChat trial with Twitch being involved this year. Mario has been dominant for the last few months. And now, potentially more because of vertical streams in the last few weeks. Literally this week. Week 2 of the season had over 90 something views in vertical, beating out Fortnite. But my trail now, because Fortnite is actually getting 2 streams this week because of tonight's 6th-year anniversary for our channel. But still, 91 views for Mario in vertical, and Fortnite 80 something, and vertical is coming back. Now we get into the future. Let me tell you about this. Let's tell you about the future of content. We're going vertical, folks. I'm not joking. I think Big E was right. When he said small streamers stream here, he meant to say small streamers better learn how to use the shorts feed in terms of live streams. It is getting numbers. Big numbers, to be exact. Right now, because of the whole debacle with YouTube, the AI stuff, and the whole viewer bot situation on Twitch, our view numbers have been low for this season, horizontally, but vertically, my goodness, it's popping. And this Sunday, we are introducing Surrounded for vertical. So that game is going to get into competition. And tonight, for our 6th year, we're doing Fortnite, it looks like, based on the poll. And boy, if tonight is an indication of what could happen tomorrow for Fortnite, watch out, because vertical streams are here to stay. So that's the future of streaming. Vertical and horizontal, along with other activities. So now I want to get into the proper thank you section. Yeah, I know, I've been talking about the journey for a while. But now I want to properly say thank you. For 6 incredible years of content and streaming, Bolt obviously gets one. Because he started this whole trend of VRChat with me. So, good job, bud. +1 on that one. Next shout out. Now, obviously, because I've been streaming for a while, I'm going to have multiple shout outs. And you might be wondering, why am I shouting out Facebook people? Because I also have to include them in 6 years. Because you meet people. So first one is Vault, in particular on YouTube. The second one, I have to give it to Jimmy Dukes Gaming. Okay? And here's why. Jimmy Dukes actually got me discovered on Facebook. Thanks to a raid. Now, everybody knows raids is different on different platforms. So yeah, raid. I got raided on Facebook with about 5 viewers. That's when I got discovered on Facebook with Jimmy Dukes Gaming. So shout out to him on that one. Number three, I have to give it also on Facebook. This was a rough one. This is an interesting one. Mr. Work. I have not mentioned that name since 2023 or 22 for that matter. But there is a reason why I'm shouting him out here. I met him on Facebook. He rated me. Also, 2022 or 23. That was the time when he was actually streaming on Facebook. Before he moved to YouTube and then Kick and then Twitch. And back to YouTube again. So it's been a while. But he rated me on a stream with VRChat on Facebook. Now again, this was when I was starting to multi-stream on Facebook. So he gets a shout out for that. Number 4. Also on Facebook. Believe it or not. Unfortunate one. The unfortunate one, also now known as, I believe, something else. He didn't raid me, but I got to meet him through Jimmy. Alright? I met him through Jimmy Dookies. Everybody calls him the Duke. I joked around. I called Jimmy Dukes the Duke of Texas. Because he lives there, right? El Paso. Or the Duke of El Paso. We're just joking around, having fun. I met the unfortunate one through, I believe, Jimmy playing Apex Legend. I believe. I forgot when it was, but I know it was there. The fourth one is Gaming with Green. Oh goodness, we have a history together. So Gaming with Green, the reason why he gets a shout out here on the Facebook side and YouTube side, is because I started learning to play more with people Call of Duty when I was starting to play COD, because we played together with Jimmy, Green, myself. We would do this on Facebook though, obviously. And it was something different. Now I don't do this as much until like last year when I started playing with Bryce. But it was something to look for in the future eventually on YouTube. So those get shoutouts on the Facebook side. The other one would be, this is a different one. I think the one. Now let's go on to the YouTube side. If I didn't mention your name, it's just because there's so many shoutouts on Facebook or YouTube that to give in this video. Because there's so many. I'm not naming everybody. But if you were part of this channel ever since, you just got yourself a shout out. Then fifth one, let's go to YouTube now. Bryce the Jackal. I don't think I need to say anything more besides he's our Fortnite buddy, our Rocket League buddy, our VC buddy, our everything buddy right now at this moment. We play Fortnite together and we play Fortnite tonight and tomorrow. You know how I met Bryce still? Through the Infinite Zone. I never talked about that channel for a bit. So he commented on a video. That's how I met him. That's how he met me too. So Bryce Bud, that's a shout out right there. That's the second one. for this video. You're going for 3, huh? Next one on YouTube has to be Seder Peace. Why not, right? Taverio Seder Peace. Because why not? That's how I started learning about VRChat. That's how I started learning about Shardina. That's how I learned about OCs. That's how I learned about this and that with VRChat. Seder Peace gets a shout out here. Bones the Hedgehog gets another shout out because he helped me get to VRChat in 2021 in July. The next shout out, though, is an interesting one. Shadow the Hedgehog, as in the big YouTuber. Now, you might be wondering, well, how does he get involved? Because I believe he's one of the big YouTubers I reacted to for my channels, other than Seder Peace. I'm his mod on his channel, believe it or not. So he gets a shout out there. The next one, Chaos at the Protectors, also known as Chris. No. I've reversed that. It's Chris, aka Chaos at the Protectors. His channel is awesome. That's why. Shout out there. Next one is Queen AG. Queen AG. But I'm not sure if that's an abbreviation for something. But Queen AG, there's a shout out because content is awesome. The next one. Lone KC, Kyle the Wolf, whatever you want to call him. And let's add Jake the Wolf in there. Bad to the Bone something. I forgot his username already. But you get my point. Brothers, Wolf brothers of the same brother. No. In all seriousness, no. In all seriousness, though. Lone KC and his brother Kyle. No, let me rephrase that. Lone KC and his brother Jake get a shout out here. But I think they're shouting me more out than I am shouting them out here. Because back in 2023 or 24, Lone KC, Kyle the Wolf, had a little bit of a problem with the PC. He reached out to me on, I think it was on DM, to fix a computer, to help fix a computer. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I helped him out. Now he's in VRChat. Okay, so he's shouting me out more than I am shouting him out at this point. So we've been buddies for a while, both of them, brothers. So yes. Next shout out on YouTube side goes to Gia the Dark Angel, or GTDA, or G-Tada, I don't know. I'm just trying to make it more fun. But yes, Gia the Dark Angel gets a shout out here. Why? Easy, simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Her artwork. And yes, you will see that more on Yuki the Hedgehog channel very soon. Oh, and by the way, her animations. Gotta keep that in there. What about on the Twitch side? I never talked about Twitch. That's just because I'm starting out again. Okay? We're just starting fresh on Twitch right now with all the stuff with Mario. So yeah, no shout outs yet. Now, because some of them are the same. Gimme Green, Mr. Work, Jimmy Dukes Gaming. I can't give it out twice when it comes to this segment. Sorry. Rules are rules. And to everybody else who I did not mention, thank you. Seriously. 6 years. of content, and there's 2,000 names to mention, so I can't. But if your name is not mentioned yet, I'm mentioning all of you into one category. The friendship part. Everybody who I forgot to mention just got their shout out today. And there's one other shout out I need to talk about. There's two. The OGs of the channel. And I'm talking about way back in 2019 when I did the whole Moody bot. To all of you who commented on that video, and to all of you who are asking questions about the Moody bot, about Melon DS, about GBA this, GBA that, about Dolphin Emulator, about any question about tutorials or anything, thank you. Because you guys help me understand why it's important to do a tutorial. To answer questions based on what you need. That is why I started doing tutorials, folks. And they get shoutouts here. Because without that communication, without that comment part, there is probably no tutorials left. I probably won't be doing tutorials if that didn't happen. I'm just keeping it 100. The second shout out, I should have done this at first. Now that I talked about it, I mean, first or second. The two shout outs I need to talk about. The guy above. Look, I know I don't want to be religious here. And we don't talk about religion, we don't talk about politics. This is the one exception we talk about religion. We are blessed, ladies and gentlemen, to have 6 years of content because of the guy above. Okay? We don't have 6 years of content if we don't get blessed, right? We are blessed with the guy above. We wake up, we bless. We have accomplishment, we bless. Or we thank the guy above. Not literally above me, but you get my point. When we achieve something in life, we thank the guy above. I was about to say the dude above, but you get my point. When you need something like to pass a test, who do you ask? The guy above. If you say your parents, that's a great answer, but in this context, it is the guy above. And speaking of parents, gotta shout out my parents here. Because I don't think I'm here doing this without them. No cap. No shot, no cap. That I don't do this without them. My parents. That's all I have to say. Seriously, thank you. And of course, you gotta say thank you to the guy above. Okay? Because we are blessed. So when everybody in your family says, you gotta be thankful and grateful, they're not just saying that just to say it. They're saying that because it's true. Not many people and not many people in general get an opportunity to be on YouTube. Not many people get the opportunity to see their YouTube channels get to 1,000 subscribers. Or in my case, 2,000, which is our goal next year. Not many people even get food. So we have to be very thankful and grateful, for what we have, and I'm not just saying this to you because it's on the YouTube channel. I'm saying this to you as a life lesson. We may look. What if we never got to 1,000 subscribers? We're still alive. That's something to be thankful for and grateful for at the same context, in the same sentence. Excuse me. So, we are blessed to be here. We are even more blessed to be alive. We're even more blessed to have food on the table. But the one thing you need to be blessed for is your life. So don't ever say, oh, we can't do this because we cannot get to 1,000 subs. Remember, you gotta be blessed to be alive. And to even get that opportunity to get 1 sub. You gotta be blessed to get 1,000 bits. You gotta be blessed to get 1,000 subscribers. You gotta be blessed to get to 1 subscriber on Twitch, which is $11 per month now. Ouch. But you get my point. Blessings are countless. In my opinion, blessings are countless because you can't count how many blessings you get in a day. You can't. Blessing to be alive, blessing to have food, blessing to be blessing to have subscribers on YouTube, blessing to have a Twitch subscriber, blessing to have education, blessing to have a house, blessing to have parents, blessing to have etc., etc., etc. It goes on. You can never count blessings. And if somebody tells you you can, tell them they're lying. Because you can't. There's so many blessings in one day that the one blessing I want you to take away as a content creator is the blessing of creativity. Okay? The blessing of creativity is the most important one if you are a content creator here on YouTube or on Twitch or on TikTok. Because without the blessing of creativity, it's going to be hard as a content creator. But the number one blessing that you must take away in all your life is what I just said. The blessing of life. Remember, there's a saying, live life to the fullest. And I'm not joking. Alright? We'll see you for our 6-year anniversary stream tonight, either at 9:45 for Fortnite or the other games at 5:45. No matter what happens, Fortnite tomorrow, Mario Maker on Saturday for the debut, and Surrounded on Sunday. Enjoy, and remember, blessing of life, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you, and let's raise a glass or water or soda to another 6 years of content. Enjoy. We'll see you guys later tonight.